Hi Rebecca, this is a little video just to talk about your scientific notation on a couple of those problems. So I have this sample problem that you did, and it's asking us to find energy. And so first of all, when you look at your formula, E equals h nu, that's the correct formula because we know h is a constant, you have it, and we know we were given the frequency, and that's nu. Alright, now, just a comment, you didn't put any labels on these, and you really should. So, here's just showing the rework of this. And you notice that rather than using parentheses, I set it up in that little grid format. I find it works really well for organizing the information. Now, the labels on Planck's constant are joules times seconds. And the labels we were given for the frequency were hertz. Okay, and when you look at that, it might not be immediately obvious, but if we remember that a hertz is actually an inverse second, well then what I could do is I could replace this with a per second. And now I see that I have seconds on top and seconds on the bottom, and they're gone. I'm going to be left with joules. So I know my answer is going to be in joules. Now let's talk about how to use your calculator for the scientific notation. So, looking at my screen, I'll turn it on. Now, the button that you want to use is the second function right here. You see it says EE. I'll show you on this type of calculator, and I'll show you on the Google calculator on your Chromebook or computer. But EE. Now that's the second function, so in order to use this, I have to hit second EE. So here's how I punch this in. So I got my calculator cleared. My first quantity is 6.626 times 10 to the negative 34th. So I type in 6.626. Now where it goes times 10 to the power, that's the EE. I just go EE, and now all I have to do is give the power. And the power was negative 34. So I never type in times 10 raised to the power. The EE button did all that for me. Now look at how that appears on my screen. This means 6.626. The E right here means times 10 raised to the power of negative 34. Now because the calculator understands that all is one number, I can just take that times, and then my other quantity, my frequency, was 1.14 times 10 to the 12th. So I type in 1.14, second function, EE, 12. When I look at my quantity, I had 1.14 times 10 to the 12th. I hit enter, and look at how this one displays my answer. 7.55, and then over here there's a little times 10, and then negative 22 is my exponent. So my answer was 7.55 times 10 to the negative 22nd joules. Okay, we had one other problem on your paper. That was down here. And this one is asking you for the frequency, and they tell you a wavelength. And you went ahead and said, well, frequency, which is nu equals c over lambda, and you wrote down c, and this time you did include a label there. Here's your wavelength. You didn't include a label there, and I see that actually what I wrote in here was incorrect. Okay, this was supposed to be in meters. So let me look at the rewrite of this one. Nu equals c over lambda. So nu is c, which is 3.00 times 10 to the 8th. That was meters per second. So I like to put the second on the bottom. And then we're dividing by the wavelength. And you were told the wavelength was 1.69 times 10 to the negative 8th meters. And now if you look at it, meters are going to cross off. And you're left with per second, which per second is going to be a hertz. And we're going to punch in our numbers. Let me clear my calculator. So we have 3.00. I use my second function of the EE, 8. I'm dividing by 1.69, second function EE, negative 8. I hit enter. And I look at my screen and I've got, let's see, 1.775. That's going to round up to 1.78. And then way over here, I have to see the rest of this times 10 to the 16th power. So I got 1.78 times 10 to the 16th power. On your sheet, you had done the math and you had the 1.78, but you maybe didn't look at the rest of your calculator on this one. And the other calculation, I'm not exactly sure what you did. It looks like you just didn't quite finish it. Now, I said I'd also do it on the computer calculator. So this, if you go to any Google search and just type in calculator, this will come up. So we're going to do the math that you have here. 6.626 times 10 to the negative 34th times 1.14 times 10 to the 12th. So the way I punch that in on here, I go 6.626, and there's a button right down here that says EXP. That's the button you want. So I type EXP. That's the same as the second function EE on the other calculator. And now all I have to do is put in the exponent, which would be negative 34. So look at how that's displayed on your screen. That E in there means times 10 raised to the power of negative 34. Alright, so I'm going to go times, and my other quantity was 1.14. Times 10 to the 12th. So I did the exponent, 12. You see how that reads on the screen. Now, so this calculator is almost, it's one keystroke less than the other calculator even, because I don't have to do a second function. I just have to do this. If I hit equals, notice the display. On the calculator, it gave a little times 10 to the power. Here, it's just saying E. And we have to recognize that that E means times 10 raised to the power of 22. But I've got 7.56. I did that wrong when I was rounding off before on my paper. So I'm going to fix that. Wait a minute. No, I didn't. It is 7.55. Confusing myself. 7.55 times 10 to the negative 22nd. We have a match. Okay, I'm going to type this other math one in here. So I'll go up here, I'm going to click on the all clear, and I have 3.00 times 10 to the 8th, so that was E to the 8th, divided by 1.69 times 10 to the negative 8th equals, again, look at how it's displayed. That E right here means times 10 to the power, and the power is a positive 16. So we have 1.78 times 10 to the 16th And that was the answer we had before. So it just looked like you were either not sure what the display was telling you or weren't sure how to enter things, but hopefully that helps you out.